This is American Cemetery Live. Hello, it's Tom Nondorf from American Cemetery and Cremation Magazine.
Hey, and Ashlinn Goodman, Director of Cemetery Solutions for Security National.
Continuing our discussion about honest communication in cemetery sales and death care in general, I'm reminded of the old joke, the secret to success is sincerity. If you can fake that, you've got it made. Well, faking sincerity will never play in death care. The stakes of seeming uncaring are too high.
Besides which, people always know if you're using kind of boilerplate discussion.
Sure, they can always sense out genuine care and sensitivity versus I get paid to say this. And when you just get paid to say this, that is when they're not going to have a great experience, and when you may find you're in the wrong field, my friend.
How do you train that, though, for people who are like up and coming into the business and they're eager and they want to make sales, but they don't know how to draw the line between personal approach and, shifting into that kind of, I don't want to say phony, but less authentic gear?
You can't. It's one of those things that you can't train. You can't train to have the right personality for this, and you can sell everything. You can sell cars, you can sell houses, mortgages, you name it, and you can do everything, any job under the sun. This is different. If you want to be in sales of this kind, you have to actually care. You have to care about the people, you have to care about the product. When people can sense that, you'll do well. When you serve more, you'll sell more, and you'll be satisfied with your position. If you do not care, though, you'll know right away, because the families will be able to sense the lack of sensitivity, and you'll have more cancellations and more bad reviews than anything else, and find out very, very quickly this was not the right path for you. It's really specific.
And what's your teaching for people who are taking the approach you ask of asking questions? I mean, I think that's always a good way to start, because you can't be wrong if you're only trying to find something out, right? But you'd get really flat responses. You get almost nothing back from the person. How do you handle that?
You meet them where they're at. My grandfather actually said it best. He said, when you meet with people, both your feet should be underneath the table and your mouth should be closed. You should spend 80% of your time listening, 10% of your time asking questions, and 10% of your time responding to questions. It's not about you. And the good news is that most people love to talk about themselves. What I found is that most of the information that you need lives in the space that you're listening to anyways. That is how you can do the best job for client families, is just simply by being a professional listener.
What do you think is the sort of biggest bugaboo of assumptions that people need to avoid, in the pre-need sales world?
I love this one. By far, the thing that I hear the most on service selections, cemetery selections, sales, it doesn't matter. So this is bridging both at need and pre-need, is that it's about the money, or that people are making decisions based on the money. They're not buying because people don't have money. They're doing cremation because nobody has any money. Tom, I'm not being funny right now. I am telling you, my entire life, I have heard that we are in a recession. And so I don't know how many over 30-year recessions there are, but it cannot all be about the money. If you think that it is all about the money, that then goes back into the emotional part of it. You're not tapping into what the people actually care about. And maybe the person that cares the most about the money is you then, but it can't be the blanket answer for why everything is failing.
I hear you. There's also a path, where people, cemeteries do need money to operate, of course. So, one path is, hey, also to be pushing other things, memorial items. How do you shift those gears from, being the person who's really just asking about the basics? Is it just naturally flow as an outcropping of those discussions to say, hey, are you interested in maybe this, necklace or what have you?
Well, it's not my position to decide for them. I know that what my role is to give them all of the options, the best options, the most premier options, and the most economical options. It's my job to give them an education on all of those things. And then that is where I step out. Because if I've done a good job educating and sharing with them what the options are, they now make a decision. And what I mean from the bottom of my heart is that whatever they select is okay with me. But when you care too much about what they select, then it becomes about you. And that's the opposite of what you were trying to do from the very beginning.
Yes, I think having the willingness to accept what people choose or don't choose is the most empowering thing you can do.
Well said.
And you well said as well. Thank you so much. I learned so much from these, and we'll be back again next time.
See you guys soon.
Meanwhile, in the high winds of Oklahoma.
Okay, I am with Will Fields at Hillcrest Memory Gardens in Spencer, Oklahoma, and Will is a veteran. What branch were you in?
The Army Hood, 10 years.
Okay, well, thank you for your service, Will. And one of the reasons why I was so instantly interested in bringing Will onto the team is because you are authentic. How do you maintain authentic relationships with everybody, even if you're trying to sell them something?
I think it's because of the area. My family's from around here, so I can really relate and connect to the people. Just through the military, dealing with so many different personalities, I've learned it's easier just to be yourself, and people they take more likely to that opposed to just like trying to change salesman.
Right, and there is some of that too, to where you can just be yourself instead of using that sales speak. So how do you feel like that's made you more successful in your sales career?
I think it's built connections and long-term relationships, not only with the people, but I've now become a part of these families. So it's definitely beneficial financially in the long term, because I'm not just a sales guy. I'm like.
So what advice do you have to people who might be starting off in this industry but need to be more authentic, or they feel like they have to be somebody else?
Definitely don't do it, because eventually you're going to be long-term with these families, so it's better to just be you from the very beginning, and it'll disarm them in a way that they feel comfortable to be themselves, and they're not on guard to defend against your sales tactics. So just be yourself, and it'll play way more advantageous in the long run.
Be you. Everybody else is taken. You heard it from Will.
American Cemetery Live presents How to Tell If You've Got a Problem with Moles.
How to tell if you got a problem with moles.
You've got a problem with moles. Now, not to make a mountain out of a molehill, but these aren't to be confused with voles, which are more like little rats that tear up strips of your grass and end up making it look like there've been a bunch of earthquakes. My question for you is, what do you do about moles? We're always looking for elegant solutions. I'm curious, what are your solutions? A lot of what you see online is not very definitive about moles. You know, you have to do things that basically are just going to annoy them, like, oh, put cayenne pepper or castor oil into your grass, and that will just really annoy them enough that they'll go to your neighbor's yard. But cemeteries aren't necessarily going to get all the moles out to a neighbor's yard. So I'm curious if any of you have solutions. I know there are poisons, I know there are things, but you know, poison works its way up the food chain. If you've got eagles around, you probably don't want to be using that stuff. But I'm curious if any of you have any tricks that work. Let us know. How do you deal with moles? Frankly, how you deal with voles? If you have any ways that aren't easily findable on the internet, or you found ones on the internet that work for you. I'm curious, because it's one of those things that the more you look into, you're like, there really isn't a great solution to this. But I've been to a lot of beautiful cemeteries that aren't haunted by moles. So there must be some solutions out there that work. Tell me if you found any. I'll see you in the cemetery.
I will see you at the cemetery, but not right now.